I didn't say, as usual, it's 20 minutes for presentation and 5 minutes for questions. Did you have one? Okay, thanks for that.
Good morning, everyone. I won't introduce myself, but at least I'm going to say I'm presenting this paper, and I don't want to linger much on this title because it spoils the end. So I would rather say this. I'm going to tell a story about this course, ARC 454. This story isn't an introduction to the paper as much as it is what we call a thick description that is needed for such an ethnographic, qualitative, and inductive study. ARC 454 is a 4-credit core course, which is the 4th Architectural Design course given in the 4th year of the 5-year Bachelor of Science program in the Department of Architecture in the American University in Cairo, which was just celebrating their 100th anniversary this year. The course focuses on the role of the structural systems on the development of architectural design concepts. And it's run by my co-author, Amr Abdel Kawi, who is a professor of practice and has been teaching more than 25 years now. Now, the reason we're looking at this course is this. There are two things. First one that is a bit historical that I have to go back in time to tell you about. I'm sorry about this image. I didn't have any better images on my laptop. But it started in 2005. I started to teach with Dr. Amr in the Arab Academy when he taught there, the same course under a different title, from 2005 until 2010. And then in 2010, we went to the HCNI with him, and he taught it there, and that time gave him enough chance to develop the course. The course is considered by many of the students of the department as one of the most influential and learning experience in the department. And we had the same comments come to us when it was given in the LxD. So I had experience with the course. I left Dr. Amr in 2004 to conclude my PhD studies, and in 2016 I presented a paper in the DRS that it was an ethnographic study that looked at practice. And one of the questions that came to me was that highlighted an issue that came across in my study, and that is education is apparently having an influence on what is happening in practice. So why don't you look at that? So I was discussing that in 2017 with Dr. Amr when I went to a jury, and we thought that maybe we could use the same method to study ARC 454. So the idea was to use ethnography and participant observation as strategic qualitative methodologies to explore the full technical and sociocultural attributes of ARC 454 and to understand the educational design phenomenon within its natural environment. We intended to use open-ended, semi-structured interviews to collect qualitative data about the course and its history from the students regarding their experiences and from the faculty members regarding their insights. And we did that because we looked at the design process as more of a social one rather than just a cognitive one. That was what we were interested in. For logistical reasons, we chose this summer semester where he was the course instructor. He had one senior teaching assistant with him, 2 junior teaching assistants, a student teaching assistant. Many times he had students who were interested to come and join the course after they finished it and before graduating. And he had one of them. I was a participant observer, and I joined the team, and there were 13 students in that summer semester. My role as an observer, as a participant observer, allowed me to observe the day-to-day studios, all day-to-day studio practices, and I was assigned the task of documenting everything digitally, which is a task that he has been carrying out for some time. Consent forms were obtained from all the students, and they were informed along with the TAs of the nature of the study in the first day of classes. I'm still giving you that thick description, so bear with me if you would. The ARC 454 takes place in the studio. All the tables and chairs are flexible. Even the whiteboards, they could be relocated. These are some of the samples of the products that came out of the course. And these are some of the activities, and as you can see in this image, in the bottom right corner, this is me trying to be a fly on the wall, not intervening much in what's happening, to allow me to be able to see things without any changes. Now, the course usually takes 6 weeks in the summer semester. That term, and due to a vacation that they had and the demanding nature of the course, it was extended to 8 weeks. Usually it takes 3 days a week. The week 7 and week 8 were less. They totaled to 18 days of classes shown on this diagram. Classes were usually 4 hours that took place from 1 to 6 p.m. and the total amount of contact hours was 69. I'm not showing these figures to say I'm doing any quantitative research, it's just me giving that thick description. I'm trying to get you into what we're looking at. Being a participant observer allowed me to observe and monitor and collect data about all the collective discussions occurring in the studio or the one-on-one feedback, the group trips, the juries, and the presentations that occurred throughout the 8 weeks. Field notes were gathered, audio recordings gone beyond 200 hours because I had several recorders recording every discussion occurring in the studio, video recordings, digital images of the activities and the products and sketches, and digital files were acquired from the different students. As for the interviews, I conducted 15 interviews with the 13 current students. 2 of the students had finished the project early, so they had time to have more interviews. I didn't want to burden them with the interviews, so I had 1 interview with each, except with 2 at the end, shown on the diagram, and then 2 interviews with previous students who were previously enrolled to the course, and they kept on visiting the course. And this was one of the things that was very interesting in this course, and they kept on popping in, asking the students things, sharing their experiences and such. I was also able to conduct 2 group interviews with 4 previous students. All these interviews amounted to 8 hours and 52 minutes, 30 minutes for each interview with the current students, and so I won't burden them, and 60 minutes maybe for the previous students. All of the interviews were transcribed and archived in a database along with the field notes for convenient retrieval or access using Microsoft Office, etc. Each interview was tagged and the questions and answers transcribed. This research adopted grounded theory coding as a basis for analytic induction, where open, selective, and accident selective coding were went through iteratively. And the main and initial goal of the open coding stage was this: to identify how the students perceived and reacted to the instructor and the required deliverables throughout the process. So that was our focus. And I will quickly show you how we did that. After transcribing, the conceptual dimensions of these perceptions and reactions were developed as memos alongside the transcripts shown on the left in this image. They were abstract representations of all the events, statements, actions, and interactions, as referred to by the students as observed in the studio. Now these concepts were then classified into codes, and to cut a long story short, the codes were classified into main categories and categorized in higher main categories. Such main categories, along with the corresponding codes and concepts, were all rearranged in a new list once they were finalized, and after several iterations of transcript reviews and parallel open and axial coding analysis, several codes and higher categories were developed, revised, added, and eliminated. And once again, not to go through much of the work, now the thing kept on giving. And even after we submitted the paper and the themes, it kept on still giving, and it is still giving till now. And we're coming up with very interesting themes. However, at the time we submitted this paper, only 2 main themes had emerged from the coding stage in detail: the push and another one that I will present in a minute. Together, they connect the immersion codes and the main categories in a manner that provides a holistic portrait of the experience and process specific to the sociocultural context of the course Art 454. Each theme encompasses 3 main categories, as I will show now, of codes that capture the corresponding different facets of the sociocultural context created within the studio. The role of these facets played along with the course objectives and process to influence the student's experience, and I'm going to show you how that happened. I'm going to start with the push first. There were 3 main categories that formulated it: toughness, and that manifested due to the tasks that were presented and evaluated, always with a certain level of toughness, that pushed the students to work hard from the first day of class. I remember students telling me in interviews, we were shocked by getting an email even before the course started, telling us that there's an assignment that we have to submit on the first day of class. Students knew that this was one of the few design courses where they could actually fail due to the reputation of the instructor being a tough grader. The toughness also materialized due to the rapid assignments in each week, sometimes 3 assignments per day, quick assignments. Also, the summer is usually carried out as a 3 time per week session in the fall and spring there are usually 2 in the week. So this might be due to it being in the summer. There was a clear attempt also to rattle the students' tendency to see their models as a finished representation of the idea and not as an exploration. So he usually broke down the models and remodeled them again, coming up with new solutions. And that always came as a shock in the beginning of the term to them, because they came up with it as a final product and they were always upset seeing it destroyed. The second facet is a serious job. Certain students expressed how the instructor stated the course requirements in a way that highlights the necessity of doing a lot of research and work from the start. Once again, due to the reputation of the instructor as being a relentless coach who pushes his students to the limits, the students perceive the course as a serious one, shifting from 3D to 2D tasks in each stage and back again, sometimes in the same day. The observations of the participant author also captured how the seriousness of tasks is underscored by the dense feedback given by the faculty. They had 5 faculty members, and students sometimes, after getting feedback from the instructor, they went to one of the faculty, the other teaching assistants, and they would leave having 3 rounds of feedback in the same day. So they were interested, and they got the seriousness, and they were trying to respond to it. The third facet was unique quality. It manifested in the quality of the tasks and the feedback that they received. And they both, it was evident that both were different than what they have seen in the previous courses. One of these unique qualities revolved around the project concept and how the instructor framed it and broke it down into tasks and questions in the brief, rather than just a big chunk of we're going to do that and that. Giving longer periods of time for concept formulation and even longer time for concept development and testing, which emphasized how important the concept is. And after that, the emphasis was constantly placed on the importance of synthesizing the various discoveries that they came up with in the different stages of the process in a unified idea or form. These 3 categories of codes came together to describe how the instructor's method of announcing the tasks, reminding of the goals of the tasks, following up on the progress, and giving his feedback created a state of push that constantly gave a sense that the task at hand was tough and required a serious amount of work while having a unique beneficial quality. As the push theme captured how the course process created a challenging context for the students, there were yet other facets of the process, and another theme surfaced, namely the pull, which captured the codes describing how the context pulled the students through the different hard tasks by providing supporting techniques and methods. The pull theme was developed with 3 distinct facets: engagement, studio culture, and self-learning. These 3 facets seem to both independently and collectively operate in different stages of the course to create a context that supports the students in order to help them in their ordeal that they feel being pushed through the course due to its rapid and demanding tasks. Now, bear with me because now there are more incidents of pull than push, so I have a bit more to say here. It was observed and mentioned by the students that the instructor asks a lot of questions when presented with any design product. It was mentioned in more than an interview that the instructor always asked, why? Why did you do this? Why did you submit this? Why did you try it this way? Why did you use this material? It was noticed by both the participating author and the students that this questioning is intended to allow him and them to better understand what they wanted to achieve. And as one of the students mentioned, we reached common ground together due to him asking. Then the instructor was noticed to follow up with further questions, such as how can we make it better, rather than just giving them feedback and telling them what to do. The students seemed to notice how this was different from the feedback they were used to from other instructors, and more importantly, they also appreciated how the instructor sought to put himself and them in a constant state of engagement. This appeared to allow him to engage their products, while allowing them to engage his process. As for the studio culture, one of the main contributors to creating it was the constant state of collective critics. The studio was turned from a space where students came to receive instructions and feedback from faculty members to a stage where students have equal and collective opportunities to present, receive instructor feedback, receive collective feedback, and learn from collective mistakes. Now, this is not based only on my observations, but also came up a lot in the interviews, and a lot of these details are mentioned in the paper if you would like to go through it. This studio culture also allows students to collect diverse design knowledge presented not only by the instructor, but also by the processes and products presented by the other students. Pointing out the mistakes in one model or drawing was more obvious now and acceptable when discussed by the fellow students because they see it next to the works of others. That open culture created in the studio allows students to clearly understand where the development stands in comparison to the rest of the students and push those who wish to excel even further. Another perceived benefit of the studio culture expressed by one of the students was that being exposed to all other projects with the different structural systems and challenges gave them a reservoir of ideas to use in future design projects, even if they didn't use these structures themselves. As for self-learning, the third facet of the pull, the instructor created such a context by doing mainly three things. First, he announced from the first day in class that mistakes are welcome in ARC 454 Studio. Such a notion was brought up explicitly several other times throughout the process. That encouraged students to try out new ideas and or present them while not being inhibited by their potential shortcomings. Many times if they presented there were problems with the presentation, he would just let them go with it, and maybe if not the students mention the problem, and which they usually did, he just brings it up at the end. Secondly, they were always asked to go and research what was missing or problematic in the proposals without him providing a solution. This grounding of the process and research allowed them to resolve whatever mistakes they did and instilled self-confidence and independence. Thirdly, this sense of self-learning came from the research-based approach that was enforced by what I call information retention, where the instructor did not give any lectures about the domain-specific knowledge, and instead just kept it with the comments that he contributed to their presentations. These three conditions of heightened engagement, open studio culture, and process of self-learning appear to have together allowed the students to acquire enough disciplinary knowledge to be able to express their concepts and develop their ideas independently in the first two projects that they were assigned, depending mainly on the general critiques. None of them had any one-on-one feedback. However, they needed more of that in the third project as they had more details to resolve. Now, it appears that those two states of push and pull collectively contributed to creating a socio-cultural context for the studio that became perceived by the students as having a unique course process in the department. Unique in terms of the state of balance it strikes between a state of urgency and a state of support that pushed the student to find themselves throughout the period of the semester always suspended. This has created a state of optimal load, I would say, which appears to not stressfully exceed the students' abilities, nor fall short of pushing them to test their limits to gain new knowledge and skills. The emergent context appears to be characterized for us as a state of dichotomous tension between the push and the pull, or at least appeared at the time as a dichotomous tension. This balanced tension also allowed the students to take risks and to make mistakes while being supported by the faculty and the context. That led the students into a process of what we call self-discovery, what we call is self-discovery, which, due to that freedom of exploration, which exceeded the specified learning outcomes of the course. This allowed the students to engage the course with a sense of freedom and exploration that is regulated by the seriousness of the process, ensuring that they keep gaining new design knowledge throughout the different stages of it. This may further explain the perception that they had regarding the course being unique. Some of them, they used the word, we felt like architects in the course, not as students. So we thought that this might be explaining what we were seeing. Now, another balance between two other phenomena within the studio has been identified since the submission of this paper. As I said, we're still working on the data. They appear contradictory in nature and specific to the course content and the students themselves. They appear to play an important role in complementing the initially identified balance between the push and pull, and the instructor appears to be using them to gauge and adjust the balance, the initial balance identified, with the different temperaments of the different students. We're still working on it, and I hope we could maybe present something. I'm done. Yeah, it's done. The one last thing I would like to say is this. In not any way we're trying to present what we think is a recipe for a successful studio culture. What we thought is, apparently students think this is a successful studio culture, and if we understand a bit more about that, we could maybe then explore that beyond that studio and other studios and see what is happening in other studios. I thank you for your time and your attention. My name is Ramy Bakir again, and I'm really looking forward to any comments and questions. Thank you.
Very clear and well-structured presentation. Any questions? Thanks. Great, I really enjoyed that. Can you quickly paint a profile of the kind of student cohort? Is it predominantly male environment? Is it?
Actually, 11 of them were girls and 2 were boys.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, that in itself, I think, is significant. In my brain, I guess because I'm conforming to stereotype, I had assumed kind of dominant. And that kind of sparked what was going to be my question, is that how much of this is kind of contributing to a kind of reputation, this is sort of machismo, kind of a kind of warrior sort of environment you'll find yourself in, you're expected to be broken down before you can build back up.
The idea, if I understand the question clearly, you mean do they feel like they're getting into a cult?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say cult, but in the sense that they know they're getting into a kind of hostile environment, and if you're worth it, you'll make it.
Yes, this is definitely the case. They do come into with that sense, and throughout the weeks, they have showed and demonstrated how they are being surprised every now and then that it is not as harsh as they thought it is. And they were really appreciative of that, what we call the push, the pull thing, the support that they got.
Yeah. So that's where the kind of tension comes in.
Yes, exactly.
Hi, Ramy. I enjoyed your presentation. One of the things you mentioned that's quite interesting, just as an observation, the destroying the student's model. that was an interesting, and I can see that you might learn a lot from that. You know, it's a surprising thing to happen. It's a sort of unexpected thing. I want to ask you about failure. You said something about the students were allowed to fail. And this is something that you hear a lot in design education. We encourage the students to fail because that's how they learn. But clearly there are different types of failure. They don't want to fail the course. But I wondered, you've got such a rich data set, whether that would be something, well, your comments on the different ways that students kind of did learn from failure, or the different ways they failed and their experiences with failure, from your observations.
Let me clarify the thing. He did not say you were allowed to fail, he said you were allowed to do mistakes. So that's the specific thing that he said. But the issue of failure is, it came a lot in the interviews, and students, actually some students wish that they failed early on, because they have noticed how other students that have failed, because they had 3 projects, one small at the beginning that maybe 2 weeks, and then 3 weeks, and then the rest for the last project. So they saw that the students who played a lot, they tried a lot, and failed more in the earlier stages, were able to maybe gather more knowledge and have better skills in model making, because it's a structural course, and they had to experiment and test everything in a physical model. So they think that they appreciated how if they tried more, they would fail, and they felt that they missed a chance by not trying much in the beginning. That came up with several.
So they were conscious of other students that had tried that,
yes,
or had tried that strategy and reflected that they might have adopted that strategy if.
And being in a group, always having that presented in a group credit, they were always very observant of the failures of others. It isn't a thing that is kept within the one-to-one boundaries, but rather it is made public. Not shamefully, I would say. It is in a very pulley way, a thing that is supported. Now, why did he do that? How can we make it better? And then pushing it further.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting to follow up on your data set. The idea of a mistake, how that's framed, how that's responded to.
Yeah, and to answer that question, I think you opened up a new paper for me.
Thank you, Ramy. I want to ask you actually two questions. One, you said that since you've written this paper, more themes emerged, and could you give us regarding the group crits, where what you said about them seemed to suggest that it's mostly the coach commenting on somebody's project and everybody else listening in and learning from that. And my question is, are the other students also allowed to critique their friends' work? Because that's a totally different ballgame. I must say that in my experience, studios vary very largely in the students' willingness to spend a lot of time in group critiques. Sometimes it works very well, and at other times, the students ask for fewer group critiques because they want to have more time to work individually and on one-on-one level.
Let me answer the second question first. Now, the group crits are ones where I have hours and hours recorded of that, and the ones where students are talking more than the start. And even when the pace is down, it pushes it with the questions. And what I found interesting, and there are interviews that are not mentioned in this study where I interviewed him several times, and I intend to publish on that day without him being recorded. Where he said he didn't need to talk much. He found that students were able to give him much of the feedback that collectively together as being a 13 student strong group. So it was more of a student-driven group. As for the first question, now the two themes are more of, let me put it, it has to do with pain and hope. It has to do with the very specific and unique situations that certain students with certain traits are put in certain stages of the project due to the uniqueness of the types of work that are submitted and how they find it painful sometimes and the hope that is given so they will sustain themselves. We're still developing it, and it takes time, a lot of time, because we so far we've